This one's about... It's about the world he goes around in. It's about the big music, and the big trouble, and the big 20s. So when they ask you, tell them this one's about the...
You asked interrogator question out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
It has got to be the most difficult November I remember. And it turns out that of all the Spartans, my 20-point loss in the city council race was one of the closer Spartan contests that we have seen this month. And of course, I don't blame Mark Fellhauer because he had nothing to do with it. I do blame Sean Windsor because he's been at every one of Michigan State's losses this year. And he was the only guy there that I think probably contributed to their loss.
A couple thoughts.
Unless you count the 22 Supermen playing in gray and scarlet on last Saturday.
First of all, it's nice that you took your sunglasses off. Secondly, you've got you're wearing a T-shirt that says Ann Arbor. What the heck is going on?
This is my Pinball Pete T-shirt. When I ran for city council, it turns out one of the things that hurt me was there was a perception I was a tough guy. So I thought, let me get a pink T-shirt that says Ann Arbor on it. And there's nothing that says not a tough guy more so than a pink T-shirt.
But we got a couple of guests here that one's from Ann Arbor, the other one went to the University of Michigan. We got a big football game this Saturday that involves Michigan. Are you going to root for Michigan?
Not to mention you live in Ann Arbor. I grew up there.
Exactly, and you went to school there.
Yeah, you're on the wrong side of things, ML.
What? You're surrounded, man.
That's what I said. I'm trying to be like all the guys from Ann Arbor. I'm soft.
So that's why you're wearing the pink.
I got the pink T-shirt. No, this is a T-shirt I got because I contributed to the, I think it was GoFundMe, whatever it was, the crowdfunding thing to keep Pinball Pete's in East Lansing open. And the one in Ann Arbor, which I used to hang out at back when I used to go visit my friend who lived on Olivia, right near Burns Park, which we were talking about before the show.
That's the street I grew up on.
I lived on Olivia, too.
Wow, look at that. He doesn't even have a mic, and we can hear the voice.
That's Laith El-Sadi, this homeless guy with a guitar who just showed up here. Apparently, some people think he's pretty good on this thing. We're going to see what he can do on the axe a little bit later.
I just want a cheese sandwich.
That's right. And preferably probably like Havarti or something because it is Ann Arbor. And then this guy, John Rutherford, who, I don't know, he's going to blow his own horn because he's also blowing it for Jill Biden for the Temptations. And
wait, Havarti? That's somebody that knows nothing about food trying to act like they're making a joke about food. But anyway, go ahead.
So it's been a while since we've had an Epicurean Dick on the show. We can scratch that box off now. But Sean, what cheese should I have said since I can't say
God, you're going to make me keep doing this with the mic. What's that?
Exactly.
What cheese would have been appropriate?
Or just not make the joke at all.
Emmendale?
Oh, that's a little better.
Everything's a joke. Unless you make it, Sean.
That's true. Then it's not a joke. Then
Is he making up Jesus?
God, that voice.
Framundi?
He's not making up cheese. He actually makes cheese.
Framundi would be good. That's your favorite cheese. Yeah. Okay,
that was a good one.
So let's get the mic in front of the talented people. Laith El-Sadi, thanks for coming on. You may have seen Laith on The Voice. You're going to see him on our live broadcast. Which, if you're not watching us live, you can see the replay on Facebook page ML Elric, ML no periods Elric, or on YouTube. This is the first time we're broadcasting on YouTube. But Laith is here not just because we like to have talented cats on the show for a distinct change of pace, but because he's going to be playing at the Caju Cafe next week, right? Is it coming up?
December 3rd and 4th.
December 3rd and 4th. So we're going to have Laith on in just a minute. But I actually want to hear a lot more about Laith and his career, but these guys insist on talking about college football, which I haven't seen good college football in a little while. So,
how was your trip to Columbus?
Columbus is a beautiful city. There's a lot going on there. I think I was the only Spartan who showed up ready to play, but the coach didn't put me in. And
I love that stadium. I think it's a remarkable stadium.
It's great.
It's a weird stadium because they built a stadium around a stadium. So when you go into it, half of it feels like an amazing place, and the other half feels like some shit they just bolted on the outside.
So
that's not really true. It's not true at all. It's a horseshoe stadium that's been there since they built it, and then they filled up one end zone. But go ahead with that nice math.
Okay, I thought I would say something without Sean jumping all over, but I did. We'll just put that up right.
Then quit exaggerating.
There are new parts of the stadium.
Yes.
On the outside. So when you walk into
it's not like Soldier Field where they put a spaceship around the original stadium in Chicago.
Okay, so it's not. Okay. What do you want to talk about, Sean? What you got, buddy? We got another $45 pie question?
I love how you needle them.
You've been waiting all week for another.
I've been waiting all week. Yeah,
Set
like
piece.
I've been waiting all week for this. Yeah.
So as a Spartan, though, can you get excited for the real game, the real football game that's coming up this weekend, Michigan, Ohio State? Does that
Absolutely.
have any?
What? I thought
Oh,
you said
not the
real
land
football.
grant trophy contest.
Will you be rooting for the Wolverines? That's my question.
he won't.
This Saturday.
No, I won't.
No. Why not?
They're dicks.
You realize our guests here are Michigan grads. And Mark, your producer who makes this show possible, is a Michigan grad.
Was that Mark?
You're saying all three of them are dicks.
No, but they're not on the team. They don't play for that crazy coach. By the way,
You don't play for states. What are you talking about?
Hey, here's the deal.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Lesson
Here's the deal.
time.
Yeah. Sit down. Now, I'm going to try and get through this sentence without Sean. Yeah, you know, when Dale Rogers called Michigan arrogant asses, he nailed it. He covered the whole thing. He pinned it right there. The reason why when Spartans go to South Bend, when they go to Columbus, when they go, you name it, they don't get a hard time is because they don't go in there acting like they're the big time, they're the big stuff, even when they're not. And the reason why people from Ann Arbor, meaning Michigan
what a defeatist
students, go in
attitude
there
you guys
and
have.
swing it. No, we're the only team that's beaten Ohio State, by the way, from the Big Ten in the horseshoe. I can call it the horseshoe, right? Or should I call it Ohio Stadium? Is that the proper term, Sean? I just want to make sure I don't want to disappoint you or upset you in any way whatsoever with the factual statements that I make. But yes, so what ends up happening is when you go out walking around like you're number one when you're usually not even ranked, people really get fed up with you. And those people include folks like me who are sick of the Michigan arrogance that continues even when they have a season where they're not stinking it up, finally.
So let me just say this. I grew up, believe it or not, a Buckeye fan. Born in Columbus, dad, whole family, Buckeyes. That's the way I grew up. So
I grew up a Wolverine fan until I started going to games.
So I've been to Michigan Stadium in full Ohio State gear when I was a kid. Not a fun experience. I've been to Columbus as a Michigan fan. I've been to Notre Dame as a Michigan fan. And I've been to East Lansing as a Michigan fan. And there's one place I will absolutely never go back to because of the way I was treated. I'll let you figure out which one.
Your mama's house?
Yeah, exactly. That's why. I will not go to East Lansing anymore.
But this
as
is
a
the thing.
Michigan fan. And
You
that's sad.
guys come rolling like chumps, and so you get treated like chumps. Spartans travel,
not
and
in
we're
the
glad to
not
be
in the
there, and
other
people
places.
treat you like, hey, welcome to town. Have a good time. And you know where to go after the game. You want a beer, you want a brat, whatever. It's much more convivial.
No, I just think it's because Ohio State doesn't see you guys as a threat. And not only that, not only that, it's a persecution complex, right? I mean, that's what Ohio State has, and Michigan State has it to a lesser degree, but it's the same thing. It's a chip on the shoulder. There's a self-doubt. It's a question of self-worth, really, and you don't have it.
Look on his
So
face.
you assume that everybody else is arrogant because you're looking inward and not seeing enough.
Is that what they taught you in Ypsilanti?
And I'm not a Michigan guy at all. I'm just saying.
You're more green and white than yellow and urine and blue.
No, I've been around enough folks like you, you know.
So I'm the
I don't
arrogant
really-
one. Okay. I'm the one who talks about which is the right cheese to mention.
Tone of
mean-
I mean, look at the expression on your face and the tone in your voice right now.
If you really knew anything about cheese, you would. That's not arrogant. I mean, come on, dude. You fit right in there.
I don't know
in
shit about
Birkenstock
cheese. I'm
country.
just saying, Havarti was popular in the 90s, but go ahead.
So that entire statement contradicted itself, but that's okay. You actually know when cheese was popular, but you don't know anything about
I just
cheese.
threw that out there. I have no idea.
Okay, let's get to Lath as soon as possible.
Havarti can do its cultural prowess in the 1950s.
Now,
There's a guy that knows about cheese.
as the proprietor of the Cadre Cafe, I'm assuming that John would prefer a nice Gouda or something like that.
Smoked.
I like all cheese.
There you go.
There, I'm done.
There's a man of the world. So yeah, I guess we were talking about football before we got into a cultural debate, which is no reference to cheese being part of a culture. But so you guys, the Wolverines over there feeling like big stuff. You guys got something to say about next weekend before the massacre?
I would like to know what our guests think about the game, and do they, what do they? There's no way y'all thought this was coming back in August or September, right?
No, man. I mean, I have to say, that I'm looking forward to it. This is what it all comes down to, and the fact that we're really playing for the championship is kind of crazy at this point. So, I mean, I've got to say, as an Ann Arbor kid born and raised, that I've had Harbaugh's back, and I think, the one thing about Michigan fans is they're really rough on the coaches right away. It's like we never give ample time for anybody to develop their style of play or deal with getting their recruits in. And, I'm happy to see that Harbaugh's on an upward trajectory anyway. So I hope this
It's about time.
Put some shit to bed.
Yeah, I think they gave him 7 years to make his stamp on the program.
The thing is, man, he's the hardest one to make a case that he's not a diehard Michigan guy. Not only is he Ann Arbor born and raised, but I mean, I remember him leading our Wolverines to some, pretty good seasons. I mean, so the thing is, it's like also he came back to college football after being a very successful coach in the NFL. It's like, I don't know how much you can try to blame on Harbaugh, but he's a harder coach to blame than Rich Rod was. And even that was just completely unfair what we did to him.
This is what's funny. Sports is so short-sighted. If he were to pull out an amazing victory this weekend, an underdog victory, it's all forgiven.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
forgiven because that's just how sports works.
Well, this is his chance for redemption, but as it is, we end another season in the Big Ten East with Michigan potentially playing for third place. I mean,
Well, it's
if
also-
they lose, they'll be in third place in the Big Ten
But
East
it's also,
again.
that narrative's out there because they haven't beaten Ohio State and it's deserved. But this is the third time out of 6 years that this game has been played for the championship, to go to the championship.
Michigan was going to go to the championship in the game they lost in Columbus, right? But what was the other one where they played and that was on the line?
Well, 2016, and I want to say, was it 20? Help me out, Sean. 2019, I think. Yeah, both were on the road. Both were in Columbus, so it would have been 2018, 16 and 18.
And the guy who's come closest to beating Ohio State is Brady Hoke.
Wow.
Sure.
Your San Diego
I mean, closest. Oh,
State coach.
Hope did beat him.
yeah, he beat him in, or was that? 2011, his first year. Yeah. Mhm.
When was the overtime game? That was in Ann Arbor, right?
No, that was it. Oh,
Sean, you're way off mic. Here.
the overtime game was at Ohio Stadium.
Was
With
it?
the JT Barrett, right?
No, the one where Hoke went for it to try and get two.
Oh, that was in the Michigan Stadium.
That was
Yeah.
okay. I think that was the best Michigan-Ohio State game I've seen.
Okay, you're a dick. Let's talk about.
Other than the App State
Talk
game.
about something
That was
else.
my favorite one, but Ohio State didn't play that one. So you guys want to talk about football? Take it away, boys.
Well, you're being so cocky about it. No, I'm ready to.
No, I'm not being cocky. Michigan State got smoked. Michigan State looked like they didn't deserve to be in the same division of football,
Yeah.
let alone be playing for their own shot at another trip to Indianapolis, where they've gone and been quite successful, by the way.
And it might happen to Michigan this week, so I'm going to enjoy making fun of you for this week because that's sports.
Well, I don't know how I enter into it. We got smoked, and our season is now.
We're the last.
Much,
how many games? How many games have you been to this year?
Me?
Yeah.
I've been to two halves of games.
And how'd they do in those
and
two
I've been
halves?
they won both of them. They and I went to Purdue where they lost, and I went to Ohio State where they lost.
So you're 2-2.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad.
Or you could even
Good job.
say I'm 1-2 because they won the two halves
Okay,
that I attended. So
that's what it has to do with you
so
because you had two
Michigan
miserable
is
trips.
excited that Ohio State's coming to town with a chance to win the Big Ten championship because I watched Michigan State get smoked.
No, I
twice on
said
the
this
road.
week I can make fun of you about it because
Oh.
next week you'll probably just dish it back to me because Ohio State will probably win by
I probably
15,
won't. I'm just
16,
not that
17
interested in
points.
Michigan football. I just haven't found it
yeah.
to be interesting for a long time.
Oh yeah, sure, okay.
I mean, seriously, we only talk about it when you guys bring it up. You guys did a whole show on it, and that was after Michigan State won. So, I mean, you guys want to talk football? Let's go. We got a sports writer here, and Sean.
I want to talk about Leif.
So,
I do too.
After you tell me about a sponsor.
Okay, so I guess we were going to.
Well, I don't know what else. I don't know what else you want to say about football.
Now you don't want to talk.
We
about
just
football.
did. We spent 5-6 minutes talking about football. Now it's time to move on. I don't understand why that's so hard to accept.
I feel like you're salty.
Yeah. We got guests. Oh, you put your sunglasses on. Good.
They're bifocals.
Let's get to our guests, please.
They're bifocals because I forgot my glasses preparing for the show. It's something you might want to try sometime. Anyway, Dave
I'm
Hubbard.
wearing a sweatshirt with your name on it. What more do you want?
I would say take it off, but people may eat later today. So, and this is the live broadcast. Dave Hubbard is your guy at the butchery. TheButcherySL.com. They're closed Monday and Tuesday, but they will be open this week. 248-682-COWS, 248-682-COWS. They've got fresh Amish-raised turkeys as well as locally raised heritage birds. When you go to the butchery, you'll find out why Chef Dave and Julie say don't eat meat, experience it. That's where I'm getting my Thanksgiving turkey. And if you already have your bird, that's fine. They got all kinds of great stuff. They do special meals. They catered Mark's wife's birthday.
They did, yeah.
They have amazing meats. They have a great market there. And they just have a great vibe. It's a place where, perhaps it's because Chef Julie's a Spartan, it seems like a wonderful place to do business. And whether you know what kind of cheese you like, or whether you like boneless chicken breast, or you like something that I can't pronounce, they got it. It's the place to go to make your meals more than just a way to get nutrition.
And Chef Dave was just in the paper. Neil Rubin did a big Thanksgiving story, and Dave was all over it.
And they also have Rubens there, don't they?
Yeah.
Are they still
yeah,
doing
they
sandwiches?
do the sandwiches. Yeah. Not
So you want Neil Rubin, you want Chef Dave's Rubin, go to the butchery. The Butchery SL, that's for SylvanLake.com. 248-682-COWS. Chef Dave, happy Thanksgiving. I will see you very soon. And now we are here to shamelessly plug the Caju Cafe with my man John Rutherford, who is one of the proprietors there. He brought in a special guest today, Laith El-Sadi, who I really liked a lot until I found out he was a big Michigan fan. Laith, thanks for coming in. We can find all your shit in the cutout bin at Corvettes Records. Does anybody remember Corvettes Records?
No. Where's that at?
Really? It used to be a big box store where they used to sell albums, LPs up on, I think it was at like maybe 10 in Gratiot.
I have a feeling, Laith, you spent a lot of time at Warehouse upstairs.
I did, man. Yeah, Warehouse, which
Yeah.
is now a Mexican restaurant. Yeah.
I know, and that's sad. And then there was another one. God, what was the other one?
There was School Kids. And
School Kids.
School Kids.
Three different shops. They had a jazz and classical store, and they had the pop shop and all that stuff. But yeah, that was
all gone.
School Kids and Discount Records were the
Tower Records.
Tower. That was the other
That's
one. Yeah,
right.
Southview. Yeah.
That's where we'd sit and wait on a Monday night for the new releases to come out for Tuesday morning, or they both had Ticketmaster outlets, so
Yep.
you'd get your
Right.
concert tickets there or at the mall.
Yep.
Hudson's.
God, yeah. I remember waiting for Rage Against the Machine's album. I think it must have been college. Oh boy, yeah. Memories. What is Tower now? What's in that space?
Well, downstairs in that big mall is Pinball Pete's.
yeah.
And then it's like offices, I
Oh
believe.
man, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
That whole Galleria has been a lot of different, stores, but I mean, not really anything consistent.
Spent a lot of time there getting in trouble.
Well, Laith is going to play
Not
a
you,
little.
Laith.
Laith is going to play a little something for us shortly. But first, I want to have John tell us about his upcoming appearance at the Caju Cafe, and then get us caught up on what John's been doing, because he does play the trombone and he gets around and plays the trombone. We try and keep
And
his,
don't forget about the tuba as well.
yeah, we'll keep his loose morals out of this. But tell us what's coming up at the Caju.
Speaking of football, though, I just licensed
Oh,
two songs to Fox Sports, the Michigan State fight song,
Which we played on this show. I think we debuted
Yeah,
that
nice.
on our show. We owe you 50
and the U of M
cents.
fight song. So equal for both. But yeah, at the Caju, I'm really excited. Laith and I went to college together, and he made a very generous offer to come do a couple shows. So it's going to be a very intimate weekend, December 3rd and 4th, 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we have a big evening planned tomorrow with East Side's favorite band, Super Crunch, a Grateful Dead tribute, which always draws well. And so they'll be playing tomorrow night. And we have bands throughout the weekend. And
if you're catching this later, tomorrow night is actually Wednesday, November 24th. So if you missed them, you
Don't
got
show
to
up
check the
on Thursday.
website. Yeah, you got to check CajuCafe.com to see what's coming up. But Lathe will be coming this weekend. Is that
December 3rd and 4th.
December 3rd and 4th. Gotta get my calendar. So we got some time to plan for that show.
We do.
But how do people get tickets to that, John? Do they just go up to the door or
The door, but better yet would be Eventbrite.com.
Eventbrite.com? Okay, so that's Friday, December 3rd and Saturday, December 4th. But in the meantime, John's been gigging a little bit. Tell us about your brush with the First Lady.
Well, there's an Orthodox wedding band that I've played in for a couple decades, led by Rocky Stewart, and he put together a small orchestra for this fundraiser a few weeks ago, where Dr. Jill Biden was the featured speaker, and I was one of about maybe 20 people in the orchestra, 20 to 25 people, and we just played a few songs with a children's choir, and it was a huge fundraiser. Whitmer was there.
Said Mayor Duggan was, our U.S. senators.
Probably one of the biggest head tables I've ever seen as far as
in every sense, big heads and a big head table. Now, what was the security check like for that? Did you just show up and say, "Hey, I'm John Rutherford. Where do I go?" Or did you get the cavity search or something in between?
We had to get there early. We about 9 a.m. We didn't really, and then we rehearsed all day. The event, of course, was in the evening. There were at least
you guys had to rehearse "Happy Birthday"? Isn't that a pretty well-known tune?
30 Secret Service agents stationed about. I tried to take a little shortcut at one point through a kitchen. They wouldn't let me.
Yeah, that's the Bobby Kennedy rule. They don't like you sneaking through the kitchen. That's frowned upon. So then you also had another brush with greatness. There was a rampant rumor that the Rolling Stones were coming to the Caju Cafe after their gig at Ford Field.
There was some talk.
Is there any truth to
next
that?
Day. There were some inquiries made.
Now, what does that mean? Ronnie Wood found in your dumpster, or what happened?
No, it means actually I asked them if they wanted to come the next day and have a party.
That's it? It didn't come from them?
No, it did. Their saxophone player, Tim Reese, is actually a U of M grad, another U of M grad, and he's the music director for the Rolling Stones, and he's from Tecumseh, Michigan.
Another guy who never went anywhere. He's only playing with the Rolling Stones. He couldn't get a gig with the Beatles? Bring me Billy Preston. I'm impressed.
So there was some talk, but unfortunately it didn't pan out. But funny enough, then that Wednesday last week Wednesday, we had Jack White and his team from Third Man Records came through and had a team building event, and it was really nice to talk with him and meet him for a little bit, and had a real Detroiter come through and Feather Bowl, which was a lot of fun. They had a good time.
So I want to go back to this Rolling Stones thing, because you had mentioned something about it, so just keep it on the QT. And then I got a text message from my sister the next day saying, "Hey, here the Rolling Stones are coming to the Cadre." I said, well, I guess that didn't stay under wraps very much. But what are these gigs like? What happens? Does somebody approach you? I mean, I imagine it's different than preparing for the Secret Service. But I mean, do they say things to you like, we're going to need to have special things there for the band? Was the band going to show up? Would just be the crew?
It didn't even get that far. I was just checking availability, and they had about 50 people. I'm not sure if anything actually ended up happening that next day, but it was supposed to be for the day after. Their next show wasn't until I think Thursday or Friday, so they had a few days to kill. I'm not sure what they may have left. Who knows? I forgot what the next city was, but.
So they didn't tell you anything like, "Hey, you got to make sure that we have, a ficus tree on every table."
Green M&Ms, none of that.
Shit.
None of that.
Okay.
None of that.
Okay. And what about Jack White? Did they call and say, "Hey, Jack's coming over"? Or did you just turn around and there's a dude dressed in black and yellow feather bowling?
That was through your former college student and my grade school classmate, Ben Blackwell.
Yes, sir, Mr. Blackwell from Third Man Records and Cass Records.
And Cass Records, yep, and the Dirt Bombs and what else?
And you name it.
Right. But
so he's currently working on a cure for cancer. But
I just love the fact that they have a team building event. Like, why would they have a team building? Well, yeah, it's a big company, or they're trying to get a lot done.
They have
but I appreciate they do it at a bar
now, and they have people in L.A. and in Nashville and get together in Feather Bowl. There's really no better way to build a team than.
How come we haven't had a team building event, ML?
We tried to, but then there was a pandemic, so we canceled it.
Maybe
We thought,
maybe two old ladies would stop fighting with each other.
Are we going to try and do the St. Patrick's Day show again?
I'll be there. I'm not sure in what shape I'll be, but I'll be there on St. Patrick's Day.
The poster's in the men's room at the Caju.
Where it belongs.
Yeah, it's.
But Jack was really nice, but that came through Ben. So we had a fun night. Stayed open late for him.
And I think they've got a couple. He's got a couple big releases coming out too. So this is.
He does, yeah. I think they just announced 2 of them, right?
Yeah,
2 or 3.
So big week, big month for Jack White. New releases, pretty cool, but coming to the Caju even cooler. So congratulations, Jack White, or Jack Gillis as he's known back in Southwest Detroit.
Was it Jack Gillis or John?
I think Jack's a derivation of John. Sean would correct me, but doesn't have a microphone. So this is my favorite part of the show. And now my new favorite part of the show is Laith El-Sadi joins us. You may have seen Laith playing around. You may have heard him. Or if you caught the voice, he went pretty far for a local dude who showed up with a bunch of swells from Hollywood. And we were talking a little bit before the show about how that came to pass. And Laith, thanks for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up being a big network TV star?
Well, I had been playing around here for years. Born and raised in Ann Arbor. Spent over 20 years playing over 300 gigs a year. I mean, 6 nights a week around town, and kind of was getting near 40 and wondering where one might catch a break these days. And of course, everybody would come to my shows and tell me, you need to try out for this show. And I've never really been big on the game show stuff, especially when it comes to music. I really don't view music as a competition type thing. And, I don't watch these things, but I said, maybe if I don't have to cancel gigs and wait around a building for 2 days to get my audition, if they come to me or if they email me, maybe I'd do it. And lo and behold, that happened. I got an email from them in kind of a VIP audition slot. And so I showed up at a certain time at the famous United Sound Studios where they recorded like What's Going On.
It's right by Wayne State, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was not the standard cattle call audition. I definitely had a time and was auditioning for some people that were important.
No William Hung, no General Larry Platt, no.
You mean TV is a lie sometimes?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Never. Anyway, so it was neat. I was auditioning for the casting company that does the show, and some people that were pretty high up there. And the audition went well, and I made it on the show, and then ended up, of course, being a finalist on it, which those of you that are familiar with me, I'm kind of I studied jazz in school. I've been playing blues and roots rock and roll and classic rock type stuff since I started. So I don't fit the mold for what that show has. Basically,
you look more like Captain Caveman than a porn star.
That's what's great, though. Your look, your name, very different from what that show usually has. That's what
for sure, man. And that's the thing on the show. I would get comments from the producers and stuff like that often that I broke the mold, or that they were excited to see somebody bring on music that they cared about, because of course, it generally has country and R&B pop type people that.
That's really funny, because when you look
I'm expecting the next Katy Perry to come out of it, not the next Andra Segovia.
Yeah, and man, honestly, that show has never had a star. So if you think about it, America's Got Talent has The Voice. Just, I hate to say it, but I think it's more about the promotion of the coaches,
of course,
than it is the people that are competing.
Which is why they get big name coaches.
You got it. You got it.
And rotate them all the time too. And your coach was Adam Levine?
Yeah. I picked Adam.
Good guy?
Good guy.
Normal guy, or is he Hollywood?
Everything's Hollywood.
Everything's Hollywood. Okay.
You don't get as much time as you would think with them as far as that goes. But he was definitely a good guy, and he liked me. Adam's a musician, so he plays guitar and drums and stuff. And so we'd get done with the song I'd pick for the week, or me running it through for him, and then we'd jam at the end of our little sessions. So, there were some times where we actually had fun and made a real human connection. Like, I think I was one of the few contestants he had on his team that we actually would converse outside of, like...
I would imagine, because you're a little older than the usual contestants on that show too, right? Because that was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? So,
I was probably twice the, 38 I think I was when I got on the show, and everybody else is like 18, 19.
See, I would think an 18, 19-year-old would have a tremendous amount of nerves, like, oh, this is my only shot. But did you feel that way, or it's like, I'm 38, man. I'm just I'm just going to play.
That's exactly where I was at with it. I mean, I was happy I got on it. I kind of didn't figure that I would make it as far as I did, but I figured I already had a career. So however long I got to be on the show, whatever time I got was going to do nothing but bring attention to my career. But being a finalist on it, being able to play with Joe Walsh, I did the end of Abbey Road with an orchestra on the show. I mean, I got to do a lot of cool stuff that I still stand behind, because the one thing I didn't do, especially thinking that I was going to get kicked off the show at any point, is I didn't pick music that I wouldn't be proud to bring to the table. Like, I did stuff that I can stand behind even now. And I mean, here's the real big secret. You can't do well over half the stuff you want to do on the show, because that has to be licensable.
Rights. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's this other thing about rights that, NBC is a Universal company, so there is a vested interest in the Universal Music Group
their
and
catalog,
music things
right?
Exactly, because they're promoting their catalog. They
Sure.
get sales off the back of that. Any artist that I choose to cover, if I do a good job on their thing, that artist is making money off people going to listen to their original version of that song, because that person hears that song and then goes back and wants to hear the original. So I mean, that can put some bucks in people's pockets. And
You covered Seeger too.
I did. I played piano on We've Got Tonight. I actually auditioned with Seeger too. So like when I went and did my 3 songs, I did Night Moves, I did With a Little Help from My Friends, and then I did Fly Me to the Moon. I never got to do a standard on the show. That was the one thing that like they wanted me to do, but once I had gotten into that kind of classic rock lane, people thought that it would be odd for me, being this big burly bearded guy, to be singing Frank Sinatra on the show.
Well, yeah. Let's go back to Fly Me to the Moon. What did you play for Fly Me to the Moon? Was it strictly vocal?
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Oh, fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Won't you show me what the spring is like on Jupiter and Mars? In other words, hold my hand. In other words, oh baby, kiss me. Why don't you fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore? Darling, you are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, why won't you please be true? In other words, in other words, in other words, I love you.
I'm very fond of you as well. So did you play that just to kind of blow their mind? Like they're sitting here saying, I did not expect to hear that from this guy.
It's part of what I do. And I mean, especially growing up around here, as John said, I was playing the Lions pep band, but I played for this guy, Johnny Trudell, who was a a great big band leader, and he played on all the Motown records, but he kept the big band working and played all the theater shows around town, did a ton of contracting around town. And so, I mean, I at 20, getting this chance to play guitar and sing with some of the better musicians around the Detroit area, and I took advantage of that. That's actually part of why I stuck around and went to U of M. I was going to go to New York for school, and then that summer I got this gig with the Johnny Triel Orchestra and applied at U of M and got in there and stuck around. But I knew that was a unique opportunity. I mean, I have always been proud to be from this area and of the history of Detroit, musically speaking. But the thing is, like, I actually got to play in a band with the guys that played the horn parts on Stevie Wonder records, on Marvin Gaye records, and all that stuff. And it's, you know, R&B and soul and Motown and the blues have a huge impact on the music that I play. And of course, the jazz tradition is undeniable in Detroit. I don't know if you're a jazz fan, but I mean, you know, Pontiac, Michigan, we've got Elvin Jones, who played drums for John Coltrane, the Jones brothers. So Hank Jones, Thad Jones are from there. Ron Carter, who played bass for Miles Davis, and, you know, one of the greatest living bass players. He's from Ferndale, where we are currently. And
I'm a big Kenny Burrell fan.
Oh, man, one of my favorite guitar players.
One of the best things you'll ever hear at Christmas is a few of my favorite things by Kenny Burrell. And if you've never heard it before, you have to find it because it's just amazing. And I don't like that song. And when he plays it, I'm just like, you know.
Man, Kenny's a huge inspiration. I mean, what a great soulful guitar player. And, you know, he went to Wayne State. He was a Cass Tech guy.
Okay.
And then, of course, Joe Henderson, who's from Lima, Ohio, went to Wayne State for school here. But I mean, Bix Beiderbecke spent a lot of time playing around here, was a contemporary of Louis Armstrong. And, you know, especially with all the clubs in the cities around, you know, Route 12, that was the main drag between Chicago and Detroit. There were a lot of these theaters in small towns that people would stop in and spend the night, and they'd want to have a nice restaurant and a little theater that had, you know, good entertainment so they could catch those. So like Coldwater, Michigan, and places like that. And so Bix Beiderbecke actually traversed quite a bit along Michigan Avenue and played those theaters and clubs around there. But there, you know, Michigan really has a great jazz history and music history. And so again, this is something that, like, I feel like when you need to make it as an artist that's getting some clout in this town, you move to LA or Nashville or New York, and that just totally homogenizes everything, because we are a reflection of, like, where we come from, you know, and your art and your music should be able to be that, and especially when you're proud of that. I mean, especially from Ann Arbor, having Seeger, the MC5, you know, Iggy Pop, as we were talking about. I mean, all these great proto-punk roots type music, great rock and roll. I mean, there always has been cutting-edge music in many styles coming from Southeast Michigan.
Well, and even if you think about Jack White, you know, his music is kind of a throwback. You know, it kind of goes back to honky tonk and to I can see him sitting there with Robert Johnson waiting to sell his soul. You know, I mean, it's
yeah. I mean, Jack really, as a producer, man, he's done a lot of cool stuff. You know, he did that stuff with Loretta Lynn, and I mean, I enjoy the Raconteurs. I've never met Jack. I'm friends with Dominic, his bass player, Dominic Davis, who used to be in a band called Steppin' In It here, but he's a great guy, and I mean, I think everything I've seen just shows Jack really has a lot of creative ideas, and he's allowed to blossom now under that and kind of, like, you know, do whatever he wants as an artist, which is great and probably very liberating for him. So
I wanted to ask you how long you've been growing the beard, but after the performance, I want to know about the arrangement of the Sinatra song. Is that your arrangement, or is that bits and bit? Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How long does it take to put together something like that? And how do you go about that? Taking something like that and making it your own?
You know, man, I think well, first of all, that's kind of the crux of the biscuit. It's like, if you're going to bother to cover anything, you either have to do it justice or make it your own. And I think better to make it your own if you can. I consider myself kind of a student of the song, and the song, you know, popular song, is kind of like, I guess, the equivalent of the short stories in writing or something. I mean, it's not concertos, it's not symphonies, it's these little digestible, less than 5-minute things most of the time. And of course, I like the psychedelic era, the kind of mid-60s to mid-70s, as one of the great periods in the evolution of the song. All the great rock and roll songs I love pretty much come from that time. But then there's this what they call the Tin Pan Alley era, and that's another high watermark of American art, and that kind of is like the Brill Building, like the people that were writing in New York, the Gershwins, Rodgers and Hammerstein, people that were writing musicals, Cole Porter, Hoagie Carmichael. That's really like, that's kind of the peak of the evolution of songwriting to that point, and we have such a rich tradition. And so getting to that, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Johnny Hartman and Billy Eckstine and Ella Fitzgerald and all these people, they used to sing those songs that were from the popular repertoire of the day. So whether they were coming from a musical or whether they were just something that they put on record that got played on the radio or whatever. And so I guess getting around that, man, I try to not restrict myself to styles. If I like a song, I like it and I'll play it and I'll try to mess with it and see what I can bring out of it that would be unique. I think start by trying to like do it justice and stay close to where the best arrangement or recording that I hear is. But then once I get comfortable with it, I want to make it something that's unique and an expression of something.
Being a finalist on The Voice, I think people sitting at home watching, it's like, oh, this is going to open up all these doors. You're going to be a star. And as you said, The Voice really hasn't had that one breakout star. But has it opened up things for you to where, now I'm opening for this guy or I'm working with this musician that maybe you never thought you'd work with? Is there
he got the Caju gig.
Well, yeah, of course.
I mean, the real
That's just
truth
because
is,
he's my
man,
friend.
they don't do anything to help you out. And so, yes, you get it for a little bit, but the thing is, because they do 2 seasons a year, they don't care about promoting you after you're done. Like, once you're off the show, you are not getting any love from them and you're not getting any help in terms of promotion. So, yeah, I mean...
Are you allowed to say, from The Voice?
Not technically. Now, well, have they sued anybody for that? I don't know. They haven't, I don't do it myself. There have been venues that we've instructed to not do that they do it anyway. I don't think they've ever been sued by The Voice. I can't see why it would be in The Voice's interest to sue them because that would probably seem like bad press. I mean, I'm sure it's not bad for them to have The Voice out there like that, but they do ask for you to not use that. And then, of course, again, they're not... Even the winner, man, I mean, they're not really helping get them out on the road. I think at the beginning of the show, they didn't know where it was going to go, and they thought, hey, we'll take the top 10 and we'll put them on the road for a tour, So we signed away things that would let them do that.
Yeah,
but
then they don't help you.
They don't do
it's
anything.
Very one-sided.
They also didn't hold me, though. I mean, I was allowed to start working, and I did actually get better gigs. I stopped playing bars and clubs and started playing ticketed venues and getting to open for good people, getting nice headlining slots at festivals and stuff like that. And
let's hear some names, man. Let's who have you been able to hang out with because of it?
Well, a great thing, especially with John here playing horns for him. I got to open up for Bob Seger in 2019. That was one of the...
Is that his farewell tour?
It was his most recent farewell tour.
And I mean, gotten to do a lot of... Like, I headlined the Michigan Theater for 4 years straight, once a year, kind of turning it into a birthday show. But, I mean, that was a huge thing for me to be able to sell out the hometown theater. And, of course, selling out all the, we sold out the Opera House in Traverse City 3 times, 20 Monroe Live in Grand Rapids. I got to play the Fillmore in Detroit twice. I mean, definitely the level of gigs that I was playing was a lot bigger. And then, of course, headlined Arts, Beats, and Eats. I've headlined this Pig and Whiskey Festival here in Ferndale for the last, I want to say 4 years. We skipped a year last year, but we did it this year out in the cold and rain. And let's see, who else as far as big opening shows? I mean,
no Maroon 5 gigs.
No, and that's funny enough, man. No contact with Adam, really. And I got to say, props to Pharrell Williams. I was on his last season on the show, and Pharrell Williams went off script with me because he actually was supporting me. He told people to check out my original music and go buy my original music. And he did that on the show. I know he cut flack from it because he wasn't supposed to by the producers, but that week... I had 3 albums that were out before I went on The Voice. They all went in the top 10 charts on iTunes. Wow. I had a #1 blues album for 6 weeks on the iTunes chart and 2 weeks on the Billboard catalog chart. So, I mean, that transferred over to getting some great, gigs. I headlined a lot of national blues fests. I played in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for their blues festival. I played for the Prairie Dog Blues Festival in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, out in the middle of the Mississippi River. I got to play a bunch of city wineries around the country, which are great venues.
Was there any artist or band that was like, hey, we need a guitarist? Why don't you come try out for us? Any of that? Any of those doors open?
Not really.
Would you do it?
I had a chance to play for Canned Heat before Larry Taylor died, but they were based out of California and
the country.
And I mean, the thing is, at that time I was just
you made
getting
that your
off
own.
the show, and I kind of
Thank you.
just decided that I didn't want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Go do that. I
Especially
actually,
if you had those albums that,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I had a career. I had albums I wanted to promote, and I was getting to play some decent venues as a headliner. So I guess I felt like that would have been a step back to go to play 40-year-old material and just kind of like be on the
the nostalgia tour where you play 2 hits and then bang some old chicks.
But the swirling around the drain tour.
Yeah, exactly. So when it sounds like you kind of maybe reluctance putting it too strongly, but you were not dying to get on The Voice, but then you start advancing, and now you start getting closer to the. Was there a point where you sort of transformed a little bit and said, oh damn, I might win this thing. I view this differently, or I've got to. No,
No,
you just
actually-
kind of Lath from the beginning, Lath in the middle, Lath at the end.
Because
I
if
don't
I
think you
didn't,
changed from it, basically.
that's the thing, man. I mean, like, what good would it have done? Like, the thing is, I wanted to represent myself authentically, and I really did not think there was any chance of me winning. I was amazed I made it to the finals. I was really happy that I did, but again, they were not going to pick a 40-year-old, classic rock guy.
Wolverine,
to be the
Spartan,
winner.
maybe.
Especially, I mean, yeah, maybe if I was a Spartan.
But I'm just thinking, every week you're on the show, you're getting more exposure, right? And there's more time that the judges are spending talking about you. So like each week is a chance to get some exposure, drive up those iTunes numbers,
Yeah.
and try and I mean, it doesn't sound like they ever came in and said, okay, Lath, we need, if you can do this, we'll,
Take a fall in the fourth for us.
Swan didn't come to you and ask you to sign the contract. Phantom of the Paradise reference, very obscure. But I mean, no one came to you and said, sign this and you're going to be.
Yeah, we'll make you a star, Shane.
Yeah.
No, they did not. And
nobody said, throw it because we want the cute so-and-so to.
no, and listen, I'm
So
not.
straight
gonna say 'cause
competition.
We don't know. Okay, they can do whatever they want. It's TV. I'll leave it at that. So like I'm not 100% sure that they knew who was going to win from the beginning of the season, but
Okay.
I would say that that's a definite possibility.
Okay, but if they were pulling strings, you didn't feel any jerking.
No, no. In fact, I felt again some pretty direct approach from the producers that were happy that I was bringing music they loved into the show. I was bringing attention to some good stuff, and they were happy to see that. And I was told pretty honestly once we got about halfway through the season that I wasn't going to be able to do half the songs that I had asked for because of the licensing things. And so that gave me a little bit more of an idea of how to play the game in terms of you're not really going to be able to pick your song, but you can dig your heels in and guide them to something that you would prefer versus what they're picking for you.
Okay.
So if I didn't like something, I could dig my heels in and make sure that, for example, I got to play blues on the show. I don't really like cheesy blues, I guess, blues that is self-referential about the blues, like, hey, the blues is all right. Or
I
every
got
day
the
have
blues, I'm so blue.
Yeah, I hate that
Oh,
stuff.
blue.
And so it's like, I wanted to play Born Under a Bad Sign by Albert King. I got to do that. I got to do The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King. Now, The Thrill Is Gone came about after they were asking me to do Every Day I Have the Blues, and I said, listen, I won't do that, but I gave them about 5 songs that I would do instead of just kind of poo-pooing it. I tried to be proactive and be like, hey, no, I won't do that, but I'll do this. And we generally found some kind of common ground where I felt good about the stuff that I played. And again, man, I mean, I feel proud of the music that I played. I think I got to represent at least a portion of my real musical love on that show authentically. Getting to play Joe Cocker stuff, getting to play Beatles, getting to play Rolling Stones, getting to play Peter Gabriel.
Well, for what it's worth, we were going to have Christina Aguilera on, but we said she's got no local ties, so we bounced her for you. So
She really loved me a lot.
That already made a big difference right there. Now, before and after the show, have you always made your living as a playing musician? I mean, you're not like a car mechanic during the day and then you hit the clubs at night?
No, man, I've been able to make my living since I was 16. I got my license and got the van and was able to drive the PA around. And so my band, Blue Vinyl, back at Community High School in Ann Arbor, was the first Ann Arbor band to put out a CD. And so Ann Arbor High School band to put out a CD. And all through college I was playing a lot. You know, I kind of made the transition from jobbing, which I would do a lot of these tuxedo gigs, a lot of the corporate gigs,
weddings and working the
weekends,
weekends,
And I made the transition once I got exposed enough or got enough of a following around to be able to play my own gigs. And then from there, you know, I just continued to do that. I mean, basically, I've got a scalable thing. So I play everything from solo acoustic shows to, full large band things. In fact, it's been great for my Michigan theater shows and larger shows. I've gotten to bring out the Motor City Horns and have a bunch of other special guests come up. Betty Levette's former music director, Al Hill, has played keyboards on a few of those shows. Jeff Trudell's played percussion. Having the horns added is awesome. Brought up special guests from New Orleans, like Brian Stoltz, who played for the Neville Brothers and played for Bob Dylan and a bunch of other people. I mean, so I don't know. It's cool for me to be able to play solo, to play with my trio, to be kind of malleable and able to fit into whatever situations call for, because sometimes you want to really bring it and have this big band thing. But I mean, I would say my traditional setting is to play with just the stripped down trio, which is drums, bass, and guitar, and kind of go more Hendrix, Cream, kind of power trio thing with it. So
and do you play as much as you do to keep the lights on, or just because you dig playing?
I dig playing, man. I unfortunately, after the show and kind of getting to playing the higher level gigs, I play less than I used to, because I used to work just every night of the week and do a lot of gigs that now it wouldn't make sense for me to play on a Monday or Tuesday night at a theater. If I'm going to play around here, I got to make sure that people can come to it. So I really have Friday or Saturday night as the only viable options for people to show up to a ticketed show. And so it does make it so I only play probably about 3 shows a week max, which I used to easily play 6 to 10. I mean,
right.
I would take more than 1 gig a day if I could. And I miss that, because I love playing different kinds of music. I like being a hired gun, actually, still. And I wish I got more opportunities to play.
Like studio stuff, or just filling in for somebody who needs somebody
Both, man.
for that night? Okay.
Both. I mean, I think that's what I was best educated for, is to be a studio musician. I mean, I can read charts well. I can play bass and guitar. I'm good at bringing people's concepts to life.
Does that drive you nuts when you see like current pop music today that is just a computer and maybe a guy with a microphone? As someone who has studied music, and
I mean, it does, man.
Is it just frustrating, or is it like, well, that's what it is?
It's totally frustrating to me, and I'm this is a big argument, so I just try to stay out of it. But I mean, I believe that music is made of melody, harmony, and rhythm. And I have a hard time viewing a lot of the modern, what is called music, as music, because to me it's like spoken word done to samples and kind of like.
Well, that's like Drew always says. He goes, are these songs people are going to play, like, say, on like a Cardi B or she's a little different, but are those songs you're going to play 20 years at a high school reunion?
Right.
When look how popular classic rock, blues, even R&B, Motown, that stuff is still so popular today, especially for the live venue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just frustrating as a music fan, that all these popular songs.
Yeah, man. But I mean, music education has totally gone down the toilet. So like there is not musical literacy. And so even what I'm talking about, people don't understand. They think anything's music that they would listen to for the place of music. And the thing is, as somebody that studied music and music theory and stuff, I again think melody and harmony are important components to music. And I feel like a lot of what is called music by the young kids today is not falling.
It's image though, man. It's
it's like, look, music is a language, and that's not a metaphor, okay? It really is. It codifies tonal
Yeah.
stuff in time and space, right? I mean, now in that there's a bunch of different dialects. It's a reflection, just like cuisine is, of different cultures, like that music is a reflection of culture itself. And it can be such a beautiful thing to help bring people together if they're open to these things. But it is a craft, and we stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say, or whatever. And it's like, I think a lot of people that are making music today just have no respect for the craft. It would be like if you owned a hamburger stand and made a good hamburger calling yourself a chef, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but there is a craft to be learned if you care about
But I'll still consume all of it.
that. Likewise.
No, that's the thing.
It's like making corned beef hash and using stuff from Cisco. It's just not the same.
It just depends on how good that hamburger is, to be honest.
That's exactly it.
I mean, you can be a chef and make a hamburger. I did have one question,
Oh, yeah.
but before y'all go, can we get one more song?
Yeah, in fact, I didn't. I didn't
Before
even
we do
make
that,
it to
Lath,
that one.
I just want to ask two things. How did you get through the pandemic as a guy who plays for a living when everything's shut down?
So that was really hard, man, and I'm still actually having a rough time because as numbers go up, people are not comfortable going out, and I spent a bunch of money recording an album that I still haven't been able to put out yet because I can't tour, and I don't know when I'll get to the point where I can. I mean, I'm still not playing enough, and I was one of the first people I knew of to start playing online shows every week. So every Friday I was doing shows from my basement on Facebook Live and all that stuff and trying to get donations. And that started out actually seeming viable, but once everybody was hurting, after about 2 months of doing that, it just donations started to really go down low. And then there were so many people doing it, and it really wasn't viable to keep afloat with that. And so, I mean, I was... for the first time after, more than 25 years doing this for my living and only performing for my life, I was on unemployment. And now I've been off that and gigging enough to be able to make stuff work. But I mean, I literally had no gigs this month of November. And now in December, I've got 4. I had a good October. I had a good September, but I mean, the months prior to that were really piecemeal too. They started to get together during the summer. July and August were feeling like things were going to open up, but as you can tell now that we're starting to be indoors more and we're getting into the winter, I mean, the numbers are going up as far as COVID goes, and I don't think that's doing anything to help out people's willingness to go out in public and see live music. So I hope that changes.
Well, where can people go to find out more about your music and to purchase some and come find out where they can see you?
Well, you can go to laithmusic.com. That's LAITH music.com. And if you go to Facebook, if you're on Facebook, my band page is facebook.com/Laith Al-Saadi. That's LAITHALSAADI. So facebook.com/Laith Al-Saadi. And if you just Google me,
We'll link them all.
Find stuff to listen
We'll
to
put
and all
those
that.
links on our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com. We'll also put a link to the Eventbrite so you can get tickets to see Laith in person.
Cadger Cafe, December 3rd.
Cadger
and 4th.
Cafe, December 3rd. It's a Friday and a Saturday gig. We this is why I didn't want to talk about football, because I knew we had a fascinating dude here. And if you get a chance to spend some time with Laith, he's a great guy, even though he went to that school up north, but
Insecure.
What do you want to? No, that's what they kept telling me in Ohio. By the way, if you're in Columbus, it really doesn't matter after the game, because they do this song about something about we're going to screw the whole state of Michigan up. They call it Michigan Week,
hate
where
the whole state of
they
Michigan.
play Michigan State and then Michigan, and they get all worked up about it, and that's all great. But we're moving on from that trauma. Laith, what do you want to play for us before we go back to the boring stuff we normally do?
I'm going to do a song off the album that I haven't put out yet. So this is a song that hasn't really been released. I wrote it while we had that PBS series on the history of country music. So it's kind of got a little Western swing influence. And of course, growing up in Burns Park in Ann Arbor, that's where Ken Burns is from. So anyway, but yeah, this album had a little bit of, it's not country at all, but there's a couple songs that kind of had the old school country influence rear its head. So this is a cheery little number called Like a Dead Man in the Ground. I don't know how I can go on, dear. You broke my heart in two. I'm trying to keep myself together, but it's awful hard to do, yeah, yeah. I think of all the time I wasted believing that your love was true. And when the things got hard to handle, you did the easy thing to do. Now I sit here all alone, dear, wondering how it all went down. I never thought that you would leave me like a dead man in the ground. Well, do you ever think of me now? You know my heart was pure and true. And when your days on earth are over, the devil's coming straight for you. Now I sit here all alone, dear, just wondering how it all went down, yeah, yeah. I never thought that you would leave me like a dead man in the ground. Well, do you ever think of me now? You know my heart was pure and true. And when your days on earth are over, the devil's coming straight for you. When your days on earth are over, the devil's coming straight for you. Thank you. Wow.
That was really good.
I know the devil's coming straight for me. He's just waiting for me to kick off, so I'm gonna try and hang out a little bit longer. Laith, thanks so much for coming in. Cadrew Cafe, December 3rd, December 4th. Go see him in person. And you play electric as well, right?
Oh yeah.
So.
We'll be playing electric for that show, doing it with the band. Yeah, man, we can't wait. And of course, the Cadrew is a great staple of the East English Village, and right. I've been there as a patron quite a few times. It's going to be the first time being able to play a gig there, and especially after John got it, so we're looking forward to it. And I will say it's going to be probably the most intimate setting you can see the band in. So, I would advise
you indoors, right?
Your tickets, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're doing indoors.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to move my fingers if we did that.
They got both kinds of cheese there. They got Edam and they got
Fromunda.
I see they diversified the menu over there at the Cadrew. I'll have to study that a little closer before my first shift behind the bar, which is probably coming up right after my first shift behind the mop. So still looking for work. If you need somebody to play spoons, Laith, let me know. I'm available.
Awesome.
I actually do have my own LP out. I was the Grosse Pointe South Jazz Band 1985 edition. It's there's some pretty shoddy horn work in there somewhere that I may be responsible for. But Laith, thanks for coming in. We'll have the links to Laith's website and where you can find him on social media. So definitely check that out. We do want to really quickly, before we move on to the rest of the show, talk a little bit about the Killers Cares event. That's December 2nd at the Lodge Bar and Grill in Keego Harbor. This is a great cause. It's an event that's put on every year. We had a little hiatus because of the pandemic. We were all disrupted by the pandemic, but that comes back this year. There's going to be some fantastic
live auction, or I guess it's silent auction items. There's going to be probably a few things auctioned from the bar. I think usually Woody does something with a round of golf at Oakland Hills with Woody Woodruff. I'm sure Mickey Redmond will get up there to pass the hat, and you'll see all sorts of superstars behind the bar, including our own Drew Lane. Fel, how are you going to be back there, right?
I should be, yeah. Yep. And I think white boy Rick Wershey is going to be there, which is unique and interesting.
He's got his own weed company now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, which, good for him.
Yeah, this time he'll be selling only legal intoxicants,
Exactly.
which will be
Yeah.
a nice change for Mr. Wershey. And I would be there, but I'm going to be out of town. So please check it out. You can find it on Facebook, Killer Cares. You can donate. There's been some generous sponsors. Please go in there and bid and get involved because we need your help. These help children charities, and it's a great cause, and we all want to show support for the guy who puts it on, Matt Riley, who supports every one of us who does our own charitable endeavors. It's all about goodwill towards all.
Another guy who usually shows up there is our buddy Luke Nowacki, who is a sponsor of the show.
Oh, yes.
Overreaction's not the strategy for the long-term investor. Neither is burying your head in the sand and hoping it all turns out for the best. So call our buddy Luke Nowacki, Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748 for rational financial advice. Stocks, bonds, 401ks, 529s, all that stuff. No one knows what it is. Call Luke, get advice, get a strategy. Luke Nowacki, Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748.
Because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
So I think legally I'm required to disclose that we really didn't bump Christina Aguilera for late.
Oh, okay. Thanks, G. I was worried about that.
Yeah, according to her lawyers, we still have to stay at least 500 feet away. So she probably will not be joining us until that's expired. But this week's Geek of the Week, let's see where you end up on this one. West Japan Railway Company docked a train driver's pay 37 cents because he was 1 minute late to work. Now, we are pretty strict about starting on time here at the Soul of Detroit. So if we were going to dock somebody's pay for being a minute late, this would be a financial crisis. The company cited its strict no pay, no work policy. Now, you may know that the railway in Japan and in a lot of Europe is known for being precision. If you are waiting to make up your mind when the train is supposed to leave, you are too late, that is going to leave. And in Japan, they take great pride in this. But the driver says he wasn't to blame because for whatever reason, he went to the wrong platform, and so he had to hustle over to the right platform. And so he was only 1 minute late starting his shift. So he quite reasonably says, you're going to dock my pay for 1 minute? Well, it turns out he's suing not only to get the payback, which amounts to 37 cents, but also to get 11 cents in overtime. He says this kerfuffle cost him. But get this.
Wait, so who's the geek here? Him or the company?
That's where we're headed. He's also suing for 2.2 million yen in pain and suffering and mental anguish. Now that amounts to $19,000 US dollars, 19,132.93 to be precise, because we want to be precise when we're talking about a company that docked somebody for being 1 minute late. So my question to you, gentlemen, is who is your geek of the week? The company for dinging this guy for being a minute late, or the guy who claims that being cheated out of 1 minute's pay and 11 cents overtime
both, because the only
cost
one
$19,000 in mental anguish.
The winner will be the lawyers that get to handle this, because they'll just make their money handling the case. I mean, why don't you just pay the 37 cents? But it's a stupid rule to begin with.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome if the employee goes to the employer and says, I'm going to settle this case for the 37 cents you owe me, and the lawyers get a third of it because that's their contingency. So they do all that legal work, and they get something like 15 cents, 16 cents, 12 cents.
Well, who do you think is the who is the big geek here? What are you doing over there, Sean?
He's trying to get this back. But it's about to pull off over here, and I don't want to.
The microphone says after being massaged by Laith El Sadi, I'm not sure I'm willing to put my hands in the myself in the hands.
Scrubbed his beard.
Fellow Ann Arborite.
Yeah, no. I just want to say it was great to have those guys on, and what a musician!
You're not paying attention, are you?
What a musician! No, they're both
ML's
geeks, whatever.
question.
No, I've got to run. I got a deadline to meet. But it was really nice having those guys in here. Great musician. They're both geeks of the week. That's fine. The Smiths are great. I know that's coming up.
No, wait, no. You can't leave.
Whatever
Just
the
pick a
feedback
geek.
is, Mike and I love each other.
That's not true.
Liar.
Anyway, so yes, so they're both geeks.
No,
So
that is true.
Sean is decreed. Okay, let's go to
Sean's in a hurry. We got to move on.
Sean's in a big rush.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Hey, if you're in a big rush and you need to get your home refinanced, I know what you should do. You should call 866-CALL-HALL or go to the website Call Hall First. See what you can do for refinancing your home. Get a free 5-minute mortgage review. See if you qualify for Hall Financial's no appraisal, 8-day close. That's how fast they can do it. Tons of 5-star reviews. I think there are over like 5,000 5-star reviews now. Check them out. Call Hall First, 866-CALL-HALL, NMLS number 1467435.
That's right. Call Hall Financial. I've done 2 deals with Hall. Both of them have worked out fantastically. When you give them a call, ask for Dan Morrison and make sure whoever you answers the phone, that you let them know that ML Soul of Detroit sent you. So last week we played one of the more popular selections we've had in room 7609 in a long time, The Church. And of course, it led to an ad hominem attack on the Smiths by Sean Windsor. We've been trying to put together a new theme month. So far, the only suggestion we've had is movie soundtracks featuring new wave artists, which I think may be a good one. If you have an idea for a theme month, please let us have it. In the meantime, because of Sean's extreme ignorance over the cultural significance of the Smiths, we're launching Morrissey Month, starting
Who are the Smiths?
with the apropos Because of My Poor Education.
Texas too.
So what do you guys think? It's
I like it.
It's a C-side from Morrissey's first solo.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
So
I've been so long since I've heard those guys, and I was usually not all the way in reality when I used to listen to him.
He pulled a switcheroo on you. It was Scratch Acid, and you did figure it out during the song.
Sean's favorite band, Scratch Acid, which
Not
he
my favorite
prefers.
band.
Which he prefers. Well, you prefer them to the Smiths.
I
or to
prefer the
Morrissey.
Church to the Smiths for sure.
But you prefer Scratch Acid too.
I like
No,
that song.
To the Smiths.
No, they're fun.
I mean, for what
You hate
they
the
are.
Smiths.
I don't hate the
Why is
Smiths.
it about the Smiths now?
I like the Smiths. I didn't say last week I hated the Smiths, did I?
No, I don't think so.
I thought I was talking about people that love the Smiths, not actually the Smiths.
But just
But
because,
I could be wrong.
just because you're not nuts about the Smiths and Morrissey doesn't mean you hate them.
No, I don't hate the Smiths.
No, I'm
Oh,
talking
I-
to, I'm talking to Mel.
I'm gonna check the tape.
I do like the Smiths.
So
I was
that's,
talking more about people that worship them.
That's well, you can like a band without worshiping, but that's Scratch Acid.
I think the big question is, did you not like it, ML?
I'm not sure what the point of it was. I like punk and I like all kinds of thrash and different genres, but I just
It's noise rock.
yeah, I'm not sure what the Scratch Acid's right up there with Test Department for me, but that's okay. I just thought we'd
Coming
have
from
a
a
little
man
fun
who
with
loves
Sean.
fight the good fight,
Good fight.
which is
Triumph.
yeah,
Oh, well,
which is it's like watching a good bad movie. It's like watching Rocky. You know what I mean?
so that's
so bummed.
Scratch Acid. Better than the Smiths.
Or First Blood. How about that? That's
so-
probably better.
No one said they were better than the Smiths.
Nobody ever said anything.
I think
like
it speaks for itself. It
No,
really
the
doesn't matter what you
church.
said. It just
pretty
it
good, though.
just stands out.
I liked it.
So we're looking for your new wave suggestions, as always. If you have a new wave hit maker that had something that somehow just didn't quite pop, please send that suggestion along to us. Or if you have a band that was producing at least Scratch Acid caliber music but never really broke out, we would love to know more about them. And we are looking to put together a theme month. If you have something like, I know we've done new wave covers, but maybe we haven't done new wave bands covering non-new wave music. I think we did non-new wave bands covering new wave music. But if there's kind of a new twist on this that you're looking for, please let us know. We did Christmas music last year. You can find our Christmas show in our back catalog at mlsoulofdetroit.com, where you can find it on iTunes. We did all new wave Christmas tunes. I don't mind doing that again for November, but I'd like us to try and bring some new stuff out there. So please, your suggestions are what make this one of the most popular features on the show. So come on, get cracking. We also are doing a little business ourselves. Like Lath, we rely on your donations. So we would appreciate it if you would give generously to the show. Mark, how do people go about giving us their money?
Go to ML Soul of Detroit, little donate button there if you want to donate. If you want to get something back for your money, there's a little store button there that will take you to our holiday store, which I believe is only open for about another week, kind of a pre-buy thing. But yeah, any amount, we'll take it. We need it.
Yes, we would like.
And I like the gear too. So
yeah, we'll take your donations. Last week, Kelly sent us $30, saying courtesy of the Ann Street Girls. So I'm not sure what that means, unless there was some crazy night that one of us forgot. Perhaps Sean has a incriminating story behind all that. But the Ann Street Girls, we thank you. Bryant sent us a generous donation as well. So just keep up the good work, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. So thanks, Bryant. And of course, our regular supporter, Kristen, clocks in as she does every month. And we encourage you to make us part of your monthly giving. Think of us as like public radio, but interesting. Kristen says, happy Thanksgiving to you all. And I think she's speaking to everybody out there, not just to the three of us. And of course, John and Lath and Layla and Drew, who's upstairs waiting for us to get the hell out of here. We also would like to thank everyone who has subscribed to the show, who shares the show when it's posted, who rates the show, and who just keeps us in their prayers. You can find our live broadcasts every week and the replay later at Facebook page ML, no periods, Elric. So that's just ML, then Elric, E-L-R-I-C-K. You can follow us at Twitter. On Twitter at Elric, E-L-R-I-C-K. We'd appreciate the follow. And we are now broadcasting our episodes live on YouTube. That's my YouTube channel, ML, E-L-R-I-C-K. We love it when you rate the show, and we've gotten some very interesting ratings in the past week, including one from Bitch
who gives us 5 stars under the headline, I guess Mom Do Knows Best. Bitch writes,
Take it.
I love when the bald guy argues with the fat tub of lard. I'm not sure.
Do you get the reference?
I get the reference, but I'm wondering if this works on every level.
I knew the reference right away because it's an old Simpsons reference.
I love watching a bald guy argue with a fat tub of lard.
It's a Siskel and Ebert joke.
And of course, bitch is recalls our good friend, the late great Mike Clark, as does I guess Mom Do Knows Best, which is one of the
That's Ricky Henderson, yeah.
classic Drew and Mike drops. So, bitch! Thanks. Liam 23 Mac gives us 1 star under a review entitled ML needs to look better in the mirror. Well, when you don't look good, it's hard to look good in the mirror, but I think he means look at myself in a critical way, in a thoughtful way, in a reflective way, because mirrors are known for their reflective powers. He also offers this feedback. Wow, what a poor sport. ML can dish it out, but he can't take it. Love how he is the only one that cares or tries hard also. There's some grammatical errors in there, but we're not going to point that out because that'd be petty. And Liam 23 Mac says, what a joke. I'm so sorry.
I guess that mirror's not going to happen.
The mirror's cracked.
I guess you're not going to look in the mirror.
Dustin G gives us 5 stars in this thoughtful reflection under the headline, Excellent Podcast. This is a great listen with a level approach to real-world issues. ML is a brilliant reporter. I wish there were more like him. Sean Windsor's a great personality for the podcast that helps keep Mike in his place with witty quips and digs. Yes, he did on his own say witty. I hope that there's no more fighting. As genuine as the argument may have been, I just don't think it's time well spent. So Dustin G, the original G.
Oh, no. I mean, he's right. It didn't accomplish anything. But it was fun.
Nothing. You're right. Thank you, Dustin.
It helped us to reveal that Sean risks his life every single time he touches a keyboard. So we will try and keep it on the up and up.
Will not let anything go.
No, this man, he could die today. That needs to be acknowledged. I've made my sacrifice and moved on, but he lives a life of peril.
You never let anything go.
No, he doesn't.
Just
By the way,
never
how is
moves
it?
on.
How are you enjoying living in the street now that you know?
Actually,
I'm sorry.
Don't start it.
I do have.
No. I don't want you to ask that. I don't want you to answer that question. What's the next thing?
I did
program notes.
I did just pick up 2 non-paying jobs. I've been asked to join the Eden Gardens Community Association board, and
and
found
you're
out.
repping Ann Arbor.
And you're still doing this show.
And I guess we can talk about Ann Arbor this week. Now, that's cool. But I did just on the way here find out that I've been appointed to the infrastructure committee. Or no, I found out after the fact that I agreed to serve on the infrastructure committee for St. Ambrose Catholic Church. So I got 2 new jobs.
That's awesome.
Neither of which pays. But
what about the program notes?
Well, Greg sent us an email too. I was having some computer problems, so I couldn't get to this earlier. Greg says, sorry, but I can't listen to you anymore. You should listen to Sean. Sadly, you don't, because you seem to be too interested in your own cute response than listening to his advice. I, for one, do not find your jousting with Sean or your long-winded answers to be entertaining. I've listened for over a year and have purchased from your sponsors. I even want you to win the election in Detroit. Beware of the listener who leaves.
Oh, yeah. No, we know.
Is this real?
And does not tell you why.
Is this real?
So I wrote back to Greg, and I said, can you tell me what some of those best suggestions
Mark,
are so I
real?
can follow them?
I assume it's real, yeah.
Real.
Listen to him. He's got words to say.
And Greg basically had no answer. And
what'd you write back?
What's that?
What'd you write back to him?
I have to pull this
All
up.
right, forget
I'm
it.
having some computer problems. We had a lengthy exchange.
Yeah, how convenient.
But I'm going to beware. Although I think he did tell us why he left, so I'm not sure if he was talking about somebody else who left. But anyways, Greg, thank you for writing. Although I know you can't hear me because you're not listening to the show anymore. So Greg's friend, please tell him. Or Greg's dog who knows how to work Alexa.
Well, I don't want anyone to stop listening. So.
Patricia says, hi, if you're recording today, of course we are. I would love to hear ML, Mark, and Sean discuss the absurdity of $100 million to an obvious charlatan coach who got lucky with the Heisman running back transfer, a loophole since closed,
MSU currently has a budget deficit. Enrollment is down. Admission standards are down. No cafeterias, no working camera to find the missing teenager who's walking from one dorm to another, and still a $600 million bond to pay off. Matt Ishbia needs to go buy the Pistons, not use the Spartans as some pseudo-pro sports toy, which we'll all be on the hook for. Also, would love to hear ML discuss J.C. Reindel's major Sunday edition piece on the Hudson's boondoggle. No response from Bedrock? Very sketchy. 2 more years to finish the 11-story thing? A joke. Wishing the trio a lovely Thanksgiving. So Patricia
That was a good piece.
She's been dogging the media for a long time about not writing about this Hudson's project. So I think we should give credit where it's due. The Free Press did write about this. Whether or not Bedrock's answers are satisfactory is I'll leave to those who read the story, which you can find at freep.com. It is subscriber only, but you really should subscribe just so that Sean doesn't ask for a raise from us. But the piece said that this is delayed partly because of the lack of demand or the reduction in demand for office space and other things downtown. But it also points out that in Chicago, where they have some experience building skyscrapers, things seem to be getting done on time and on schedule. So very interesting.
I think the pandemic was a little too convenient.
Well, I mean, I think Gilbert is so maxed out.
It was taking forever before that.
It was taking a while, and they've altered it from being the tallest in Detroit to being, shorter than the Renaissance Center. So it's an interesting topic.
Meanwhile, they get a great deal with no clawback. So
well, as anybody who's paid attention to my city council campaign knows, clawback was one of our key provisions to changing the way we do things here in Detroit. But yeah, massively supported with brownfield credits. I think JC reported $197 million in credits, and the whole project's $1 billion. So that sounds like 20%. I mean, it's very complicated, but it is interesting to see as it rises from the ground that other cities continue to keep their projects on schedule.
In the part about the Mel Tucker contract, I mean, it is Ishbia's money. It's not coming from the university. The university should probably invest in some of the things they mentioned in the email. I don't know. I mean, Mel Tucker, he has the leverage, right? He was. There's a lot of talk about him to LSU. I have no problem with him getting the money wherever it comes from.
Well, I think everybody here knows that I think the economics of college sports are just completely jacked up, and we could be here for another hour going through that. But I don't see how Ishbia putting his money on the table affects admission standards, the budget deficit, cafeterias working. Of course, Brendan Santo, who's missing. If you look on my Twitter page at Elric, you'll see a flyer as I was asked to share, asking for people to help. And I think anybody who has a child knows this is your worst nightmare. And I think we all are praying that this young man is returned to his family safely. But I think one thing you could argue is that this will help enrollment at Michigan State, because what we have seen is when college programs are more successful, demand to go to those universities increases. I can't imagine where Alabama would be if Gene Stallings was still the coach. We wouldn't even be talking about that.
I believe it was Don Canham said that the football program, the athletic department, is the front porch to the university. That's what everyone sees first.
He should have been watching the back door a little closer too, but that's another topic.
Knew that was coming.
But no, I mean, I know the number of people when I go out of town, the number of people I see wearing Spartans gear is much higher than it was before Mark D'Antonio was the coach. And my only complaint about Mel Tucker, I don't know if he asked for this money or if this is being offered to him to try and keep him from having a wandering eye. But the thing I hated about Perlis, the thing I hated about Saban, and the thing that I loved about D'Antonio is there was never a question what job the coach wanted. Saban and Perlis just leveraged everything. Perlis helped get rid of a university president because of his ego and his drive for power, and it was disgraceful. And Michigan State lost a great president. But with Mark D'Antonio, who was handsomely compensated and got raises along the way, he didn't work for free. He was taken very well care of, especially at the end. But you knew he wanted to be the coach of the Michigan State Spartans. That was the job to him. And my only objection to all this money being shoveled at Mel Tucker is, other than changing the whole coaching pay scale, Ryan Day is probably going to want $200 million now, is that it makes me wonder, does he want to be the coach of the Spartans? Or does he want to be the coach of the Spartans as long as he can get a lot of jack out of the job? And I have a problem with that, but that's just me.
I don't see any of this in the rundown, but just saying.
What's on the latest Carlos and Sean podcast?
Sean, I thought you hated it when
that's
things
on
were
the
written down.
Sports. No, I just am on a seriously messed up deadline.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so Carlos and Sean's podcast has
Sports.
Fantastic.
We'll probably talk about the money, maybe, with Mel Tucker. I don't know. Is that still? We'll talk about Michigan, Ohio State, and the big game, and Harbaugh's opportunity. That'll be the number one thing we talk about. Can the Lions win a game? Are the Red Wings sneaky good? Can they squeak into the playoffs?
You got to talk about the cheap shot.
And how about Isaiah Stewart chasing after LeBron?
Yeah, after a cheap shot.
What's a cheap shot? It
was absolutely a cheap shot from LeBron.
But Stewart was a little.
He was a little manic. It's okay. Yeah. He's got a past. He likes to box. I mean, he's a tough guy.
Very tough guy. So, he was, as I wrote, he was fortunate he got held back.
You know what's funny? Makes me like him. It makes me more interested in the Pistons.
If he'd gotten there, what was he going to do? If he'd gotten to LeBron, what was he going to do? What was his plan, right? I mean,
probably not. I mean, maybe he knew it'd be.
He's 20 years younger. Yeah. I think he's going to do some damage to the
Well, that's what I'm saying. He could have, with one.
He used to box,
with one swing, ended his career. Right?
Oh, I mean, wow.
Would have.
Hey,
he would have ended his own career and maybe LeBron's.
Ask
right?
Rudy Tomjanovich what one blow
No, exactly. No.
Speaking of great Wolverines.
I mean, when you see that kind of rage, for sure, and you think, oh, my God, what if he actually gets to his destination?
I mean, I'm half joking, but, I would love to see LeBron scared because of that cheap shot.
It's been a while since I've seen a player with that kind of blank rage on his face.
To see LeBron speak out about China the way Naomi Osaka has.
Yeah, or Enos Cannon.
Well, she's partly Japanese and then not really fans of each other. So
you think she doesn't really care about the safety of a fellow tennis player or about fascism?
No,
okay. Well, wow. I tried to give an athlete some credit. I guess that was my mistake.
No. She's actually great. Yeah.
So that's what's on the show.
Thanks for holding your place.
Carlos
well, I was at the Malice at the Palace, and
that's not on the rundown either.
Do you want to write some stuff?
I'm joking.
Down?
I'm joking.
But
continuing your story from 1980.
Cyrus, take us out.
No, what happened at the Malice of the Palace?
Now you want to hear it.
You and I went to a party together after the Malice of the Palace. I remember that.
Cyrus, where are you, my brother?
Can you dig
that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
The presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.